blinking. So that is probably a fuse. Check it on the power board here. Curious. Fuse is good. See if it powers on. Okay. So this is one of these issues that I'm gonna have to look into more. Probably study a schematic. So what I can do... So this is an issue I think I have documented and that I haven't solved. So it's not drawing any power. Charge light's blinking. Let me look at my notes that I have. I just have a giant, massive sheet of problems that I've been sort of curating. Let me see what notes I have on this device or on this problem while it's factory resetting. No charge light. Oh, orange light flashes, powers up and plays. My current theoretical is a faulty battery, which I know that's not true. Curious. Okay, I have something I can try. I can try reflowing the charge port EM1 and F1. It could just be as simple as that. That the connection isn't good enough. I'll see if I can just kind of jiggle it around and see if I get a connection, if I get any power draw at all. According to my USB tester, I'm just getting nothing. It could also be the, I didn't check the battery connector contacts. I never checked continuity for them, but obviously the console turns on, so both of those connections should be good. Let me go through initialization for this console just so I don't have to worry about it later. Alright. I know that battery's not bad. Alright, so the only thing I can think of is there's something wrong up there. Up here on the intake for the charger. That fuse shouldn't be blown because there wouldn't be a charge light at all if that fuse was blown. I can check it anyway. Because I know there's some like really weird problems that sort of masquerade as other components but end up being the fuse when it shouldn't be the fuse. Fuse is fine. So I'm just going to reflow all of those points and check again. Okay, that should do it. Reflowed everything, added a touch more solder to everything as well. Alright, so let me check see if it charges now. I don't need any of the components plugged in order to check to see if it will charge the battery. Interesting. So we're blinking again. Or still. Let me change out charging boards, or the power boards, to just see if there's an issue with the power board itself. I'm gonna look at the ribbon cable. Ribbon cable looks fine. Here's the power board from my testing unit, which I know works. The power boards are simple, so I almost never suspect it. There are cases where the ribbon cable will become corroded, and that can cause some issues, but you can visibly see that, like, oh, this one's corroded. Where the symptom that I'm showing right now is not going to be as simple. Nothing. Okay. Well, let me start probing around the usual, or potentially usual suspect, Mr. U11. So, let's see what I got here. So these two bottom legs should short to positive. Pin 9 and 10. I'm not getting anything. Why aren't I getting anything? So I should be able to... I should have continuity to these two pins. So I think that's why the circuit is saying, hey, there's no charge coming in. Or it can't detect... Well, it can detect the battery, it's just not allowing a charge. Trying to see... Scratch off if there's like a little bit of clear coating on there or something. I'm getting nothing. Let me touch the battery connector in a different spot. Curious. So what I understand is it should just be an open line from the battery connector to this leg. Like I can't even get it on this side of the capacitor either. That should be the positive line. So I don't know why that's not shorting over like that. Let me plug in the battery connector. Maybe the vias are corroded? I think the problem with this is a multi-layer board. It has to be, like, there's really no rational explanation as to why this isn't. Because of just how the positive contacts are sort of clustered and terminate. Which shouldn't really be possible. Where is it? Right there. TP7 is the positive point. That via looks kind of strange. But let me test it with the positive on the power board. Ooh, I'm not getting anything. That is positive. Okay, so this one should be the negative plane, but just by how big it is. Getting continuity. TP7. I'm getting nothing. I'm wondering if that trace or those vias are corroded. Let me scratch away some of this solder mask. You can tell just kind of right there, it all looks kind of grimy. Now it seems fairly unlikely that all 4 vias are fouled. But it doesn't look too good. I don't think that was because of mine. The only other option I can think of is maybe I just didn't... That positive connector isn't making a good enough contact. My continuity testing is saying it is. Like, I don't really... So let me just check it again against the, like, actual battery positive contact right here. Let me just try and touch the end, just the little tiny tippy tip of this pad. Yeah, and I'm getting contact. So for some reason, the electricity isn't, or the voltage isn't going through these vias. So what I was thinking of trying is just scraping it away, hitting it with flux and a little bit of solder, and just sort of seeing if I can get it to connect. I might have even thin enough wire that I can just punch through the via and solder on each side. I'm not entirely sure if that would work, but it's something I can try. I'll just do something like that. Not an elegant solution, but this is definitely, I'm just sort of winging it here, seeing if that actually does anything. There, that's pretty enough. So establishing a link to the test point might not actually mean anything, and I don't even know if that actually was able to do anything. I'll test it here. I'll get it plugged back in. Well, I won't plug it back in, but I'll get the power board back plugged in so I can test the continuity a little easier. So we're going from the positive right here. So now it's testing all the way to my blob of solder again. Let me flip over and go from the positive all the way to U11 again. If I get continuity there, that was my problem. I'm still getting nothing. Huh. Wonder why that is. Because even if component U11 was faulty, I should be able to still detect the positive line. My understanding is the positive line goes directly to it. Let me see if those vias go on the other side. That via right there, or this little cluster of traces. Okay, so there's almost like a rail, this little line right here. The vias punch through, and then they go to this via. So let me see if it is detected at the via. It is. So the positive line is detected right there. It should travel across this via to these 2 vias right here. These 2 vias go to the other side of the board. I don't think that's like... I don't think the solder mask's bubbling up right there. I think that's just a little bit of crud. Well, maybe it is. So we have that. Let me just confirm that via goes to test point 7. I get continuity. And then all the way to those vias. Yeah, and I'm not getting continuity in those vias. So let me scrape back and see kind of what's going on. It could just be rampant corrosion. Well, rampant corrosion I think is a little hyperbolic. Just corrosion. I'm just going to expose both vias best I can. Okay, so let me check to see if I get continuity from the battery, positive and negative, to these 2 vias. Curious. So electricity isn't making it to that spot. So maybe this part that I thought was just some gunk. Let me expose that side. Maybe this might be actual corrosion then. Because unless I'm completely crazy, this should just be a copper strip. So for them not to have continuity, let me go from the test point to just right on this exposed copper. I'm getting nothing. So this via isn't connecting. So I am going to expose it and dump some solder in there. I am grabbing onto something because I'm able to get a continuity measurement to it. But I have to kind of dunk my probe in that via. Still nothing. So I wasn't able to get in there with my iron. I'm going to have to keep trying. Let's see if I can still get continuity from within the via. I can, so I know it's in there. I just gotta... I'm guessing solder mask... Oh no, that doesn't make any sense because I'm testing continuity. I just gotta maybe scratch away a little more solder mask that's just squatting in there. What I could try and do is jam a small end of a wire in there. What I think it's just doing is I think the solder might just be sitting on the surface. It's not actually going in. So I need some type of method of just sort of encouraging the solder to go down. So what I'm basically doing now, kind of not exactly intentionally, but I think this might be the best method, is just bypassing this via and just making my own. Just gonna be poking a wire through, soldering to the wire. I may not even need to solder the other side. I probably will, or just it just depends on how the vias look. Ah, but that did exactly what I wanted it to do. So if I had to guess, it dragged solder down into the via and was able to connect. So let me look at the other side. So it looks like the positive plane goes right there. I don't know if it actually connects. Is that all just the positive plane? It might be. But let me make sure before I do anything crazy. But I would have no problem, because if this via is just isolated, ooh, it is. It looks like it's just completely isolated. Let me look at the eye loop here. Because if it's just isolated, I'll just flush snip it. And that should be the end of that. I shouldn't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, it looks like the via is isolated. It did what I needed it to do, so I don't have to do anything fancy. So what I can do here is just flush cut it as low as I can. That shouldn't cause any problems, because it will touch the sides of the vias, which is fine. It just won't touch anything else. So let me flush cut this here. Okay, and I did test it with the points I scraped off on the other side of this bar, so I know it works. I'm just gonna get this flux off. There. Okay. So let me do another test here. From the positive of TP7 to this point. Continuity. From my freshly soldered point to the end of this rail, which is right there. Continuity. Now the ultimate test. The battery positive to leg 9 and 10 of U11. Perfect. We have continuity all the way from the positive terminal to U11. Now let me get it back together, put the battery in it, and see if it will charge. Let's see what happens. Battery is in. Power draw. It is charging the battery. Fantastic. I'm going to add that to my notes.